There is something the angels have been watching unfold in the invisible architecture of your heart. Something that has been building in the quiet hours when you thought no one was paying attention. And today they are drawing back the veil just enough for you to see what has always been there, waiting to be acknowledged. Not because the universe operates on schedules or because certain dates hold mystical power, but because you have reached a threshold of emotional readiness that creates space for truth to enter without shattering you. The connection you feel, the one that visits you in the space between sleep and waking, the one that pulses through your chest when a song plays or when the light hits the room a certain way, is not imagination, and it is not wishful projection. It is a recognition your soul has been carrying, the ancient knowing that exists before words, before logic, before the mind can categorize and control. Angels do not speak in a language of coincidence. They speak in a language of resonance. And what you have been experiencing is not random static, but a frequency that has been calling to you, asking you to listen deeper than you have allowed yourself to listen before. There is someone whose energy has been entangled with yours in ways that defy the simple explanations people offer when they do not understand the complexity of soul connections. Someone who occupies a space in your emotional landscape that cannot be filled by distraction or replaced by rationalization. And the angels want you to know that this recognition, this persistent presence in your inner world, is not a weakness to overcome, but a truth to honor. You may have been told, by well-meaning voices or by your own exhausted mind, that you should move on, let go, stop holding space for what feels uncertain. But the angels see something different. They see a connection that exists beyond the limitations of current circumstances, beyond the barriers of fear and misunderstanding, beyond the protective walls that have been built by those who have been hurt before. What is being revealed today is not a promise of timing or a guarantee of outcome, but rather an invitation to trust what you've been feeling, to stop questioning the validity of your own emotional experience, to understand that your heart has been attuned to something real, something that lives in a realm where souls recognize each other even when bodies are apart. The angels are asking you to consider that perhaps you've been right all along, that the connection you sense is not delusion but perception, not fantasy but spiritual sight, and that the reason it has persisted despite logic, despite distance, despite silence, is because it carries a truth that your soul knows even when your mind cannot prove it. This is not about convincing you to wait endlessly or to abandon yourself to hope that leaves you depleted. It is about validating the wisdom of your own heart, about acknowledging that you have been receiving information through channels that the rational world does not honor, but that are no less real, no less significant, no less worthy of your attention and respect. The space between you and this person, whether measured in miles or an emotional withdrawal, whether created by circumstances or by choice, has become a landscape where your deepest lessons are being written. And the angels want you to understand that this distance is not punishment or abandonment, but rather a sacred pause, a necessary chapter in a story that is far larger than any single moment of separation. When you long for someone, when their absence creates an ache that settles into your bones, when you find yourself reaching for connection that is not currently available to you, you are being shown something profound about the nature of your own heart. You are being shown your capacity to love beyond conditions, your ability to hold affection even when it is not being reciprocated in the ways you crave, your willingness to remain open even when opening feels like vulnerability without protection. This longing you carry is not pathology. It is testimony to your depth, to your refusal to become cynical, to your insistence on feeling fully even when feeling brings discomfort. And the angels see this as strength rather than weakness, as spiritual maturity rather than emotional dependence. But they also see what you cannot yet see from your position inside the experience. They see how this distance has been forcing you to confront the ways you have historically abandoned yourself in pursuit of connection, the ways you have made yourself smaller to fit into spaces that were never designed to hold your full presence, the patterns you have carried from old wounds that convince you that love requires self-erasure, that devotion means accepting less than you deserve, that loyalty means staying silent when your needs are not being met. The person you're longing for, whoever they are in your specific story, have become a mirror reflecting back to you the areas where you have not yet learned to stand firmly in your own worth, where you have been waiting for external validation instead of anchoring into your own internal knowing, where you have been seeking completion from another rather than recognizing your own wholeness. This is not to diminish what you feel for them. The angels are not suggesting that your love is misplaced or that your connection is invalid, but they are inviting you to see that this period of distance is creating space for you to return to yourself, to remember who you were before you learned to shape yourself around another's capacity, to reclaim the parts of your heart that you offered freely without ensuring they would be received with care. The longing itself is holy, but what you do with the longing determines whether it becomes a path toward your own liberation or a cage that keeps you suspended in a state of perpetual waiting. Right now, in this moment, the angels are revealing that the distance you've been experiencing is not random cruelty from an indifferent universe. It is an intentional mercy, a protective space that is allowing you to strengthen foundations within yourself that must be solid before certain kinds of union can occur without destroying you. You've been holding your breath, perhaps without even realizing it, existing in a state of suspended animation, where part of you is always listening for a message, always scanning for signs, always half present in your own life, because the other half is turned toward a door that is not yet opened. And this is the exhaustion the angels see when they look upon you, not the exhaustion of physical tiredness, but the weariness that comes from existing in perpetual anticipation, from never fully landing in the present moment, because you are constantly preparing for a future that may or may not unfold as you imagine it. This waiting has become a way of life. And while you've been waiting, precious time has continued to move. Opportunities have passed by unnoticed. Moments that could have nourished you have been experienced only partially, because you are not fully inhabiting them. And the angels want to speak to this gently, lovingly, without judgment but with absolute clarity. Waiting is not the same as faith, and hope is not the same as presence. And what you have been calling patience may actually be a form of self-abandonment dressed in spiritual language. The person you are waiting for, whether they are aware of your waiting or oblivious to it, whether they're struggling with their own barriers or simply not ready to show up in the ways you need, is living their own life, moving through their own process. And while you may be energetically connected, while you may share something significant in the realm of souls, they are not responsible for releasing you from this prison of anticipation. Only you hold that key. Only you can decide that your life is too valuable to be lived in the margins, that your presence is too important to be relegated to the sidelines of your own existence while you wait for someone else to choose you fully. The angels are not asking you to stop caring, to harden your heart, to sever the connection that feels so real to you. They are asking you to stop making yourself small enough to fit into the limited space that is currently being offered, to stop contorting yourself to accommodate someone else's unavailability, to stop believing that love requires you to diminish your own needs, your own desires, your own right to be met with equal commitment and clear intention. There is a particular pain that comes with loving someone who is not showing up, with feeling deeply for someone who is not reciprocating in ways that are concrete and consistent, with holding space for potential that is not being actualized. And that pain is valid. Your disappointment is valid. Your frustration is valid. Your grief for what could be but is not currently manifesting is entirely legitimate. But the angels are asking whether you are willing to let that pain teach you, or whether you will simply continue to endure it, hoping that if you are patient enough, understanding enough, accommodating enough, things will somehow magically transform without anyone actually changing or choosing differently. What the angels see when they look at the situation that has been consuming so much of your emotional energy is not what you see. You see a love story waiting to be fully realized, a connection that just needs the right circumstances to flourish, a person who will eventually recognize what you already know to be true. But the angels see something more complex, more nuanced, and ultimately more compassionate toward you than the narrative you have been telling yourself. They see that you have been protecting this person in your mind, making excuses for behavior that should not require excuses, filling the gaps of their inconsistency with your own certainty, interpreting their silence as struggle rather than as choice. And in doing so, you've been allowing yourself to remain in a dynamic that does not honor the fullness of who you are, that does not match the level of commitment and presence you are ready to offer and receive. The angels want you to understand that someone's potential is not the same as their reality, that good intentions do not substitute for aligned actions, that feeling a connection is not the same as being chosen clearly and consistently, and that love, real, sustainable, nourishing love, does not require you to be a therapist, a savior, a patient teacher, or an eternal wellspring of understanding for someone who is not doing their own healing work, who is not taking responsibility for their own patterns, who is not showing up with the same level of consciousness and care that you are bringing. This person you have been holding in your heart, they may genuinely care for you. They may feel the connection you feel. They may even love you in a way they are currently capable of loving. But the angels are asking you to see clearly whether that capacity is enough for you, whether it matches what you actually need to feel safe and cherished and seen, whether it creates the conditions for you to thrive rather than simply survive on crumbs of intermittent attention and ambiguous connection. The revelation that is being offered today is not necessarily that this person will return or recognize what they have or suddenly transform into a partner you've been hoping they would become. The revelation is that you've been worthy of more all along, that your willingness to love deeply does not obligate you to accept love that is shallow or conditional or hidden, that your empathy and understanding do not require you to tolerate behavior that leaves you feeling uncertain or secondary or optional. The angels are showing you that you've been confusing spiritual connection with relationship readiness, that you've been mistaking soul recognition for partnership compatibility, and while those things can coexist, they do not automatically guarantee the relationship will be healthy or reciprocal or capable of meeting your legitimate needs. In the quiet transformation that has been occurring beneath the surface of your awareness, something has been shifting, rearranging, preparing itself for what comes next. And this is what the angels want you to understand, that every moment of this experience, even the painful ones, even the confusing ones, even the ones that felt like wasted time or misdirected love, has been serving your evolution, refining your discernment, teaching you to distinguish between connection and commitment, between intensity and integrity, between what feels familiar and what is actually aligned with your highest path. You are not the same person who entered this experience. Even if you cannot yet articulate exactly how you have changed, even if the growth feels incremental and invisible, you've been learning to trust yourself again, to honor your own emotional truth even when others cannot validate it, to stand in your worth even when circumstances seem to suggest you should accept less. And this learning is not preparation for this specific person to finally choose you, but preparation for you to recognize when you are being chosen well, when you are being loved in ways that match your value, when you are being met by someone whose actions align with their words and whose consistency creates safety rather than anxiety. The angels see the sacred union that awaits you, not necessarily with this person, but with someone who is ready, who is clear, who is capable of showing up with the full presence and commitment that you deserve. And they see that you are being refined right now in this crucible of longing and waiting and self-discovery, so that when that aligned connection presents itself, you'll be able to receive it fully, recognize it clearly, and participate in it with the wisdom you have earned through this current chapter. There is someone, perhaps the person you've been focused on, or perhaps someone you have not yet encountered, who will not require you to decode their intentions, who will not leave you guessing about where you stand, who will not make you feel like you are asking for too much when you express your needs. And the angels are preparing you to be ready for that person, to not settle for less than that out of fear or loneliness or attachment to a specific outcome. What is being revealed today, in this moment, is not the end of your story. It is a threshold, the turning point, the place where you get to decide whether you'll continue to pour your precious energy into uncertainty or whether you'll begin to direct that energy back toward yourself, back toward your own life, back toward creating such profound alignment within yourself that only what truly matches you will be able to enter your field. The angels are not closing the door on this connection you feel, but they are opening your eyes to see the door more clearly, to recognize whether it is truly open or whether you've been standing in front of something that was never meant to be entered in this way. And they are trusting you to be brave enough to choose yourself, to honor yourself, to love yourself enough to release what is not serving you, even when letting go feels like tearing out a piece of your own heart. Because beyond this threshold, beyond this moment of decision and surrender, there is something waiting that you cannot yet imagine from where you currently stand. Something that will make perfect sense when you arrive there. Something that will feel like coming home to yourself and simultaneously like discovering a love that finally feels like rest instead of effort, like certainty instead of confusion, like being chosen as fully as you are willing to choose. And there the angels pause, their message incomplete, their revelation unfinished, leaving you with this question suspended in the sacred space between knowing and not yet knowing. Are you ready to see what comes next? To hear what they will reveal when you are ready to receive it? To understand the final piece of this puzzle that will make everything fall into alignment? The answer is coming. But first, there is something more you need to understand about yourself, about this connection, about the choice that stand before you now.